everybody. Welcome to this episode of Think Business. I'm looking forward to talking with founder Matt Bell of MessageUP. Matt, it's great to connect with you. You specialize in content marketing. We're going to talk Think Community today on what customers want. And what customers want is they want to be able to find you, they want to be able to evaluate you, and they want to be able to buy from you. And Matt is an expert here with MessageUp.com, and we're gonna dive into that. Matt, I'm a business coach, and it's great to connect with you. I work with people all over the globe who are successful and stuck, and I like to get people unstuck. So I like to start off the podcast talking to my guests about where is your stuck today.
I think my biggest stuck today is not enough people know who I am and know what I do. So it's all about visibility and awareness. And how do I take what I've got and would love to share and get that out to more people? So obviously, thank you for the kind invitation to join your show today. This is part of that journey.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people think that, and one of the things I recommend and suggest to clients are whatever you're doing in marketing, double it. Once you get comfortable, double it. Once you get comfortable, just keep doubling. And being a guest on a podcast is a great way to grow your business. I have gotten a lot of business from being a guest on other people's podcasts, because it's not you talking about yourself. It's people like me asking you about you. So it really just opens up the ears. Think Community. If you aren't on other people's podcasts and a guest on them, you should be. I actually have a podcast where I take all the interviews, at least the ones that they'll let me use, and put on its own podcast. It's called Jon Dwoskin Gets Interviewed. And so there's, I think, close to 100 there. I can't remember, but I just kind of make it its own podcast. And I actually put those podcasts on my Think Business podcast things as well. So just a couple things for everybody to think about. So Matt, I appreciate you sharing that. Let's talk about you now. Let's get into your business, because as we were getting ready to go live, you had talked about, really let's talk about how clients want to find, evaluate, and buy from you. Let's break those down into 3 different sections and start with the importance of content marketing as it pertains to people finding you.
Yeah, I think the starting point is that many businesses and business people focus too much on the sale. So they go out looking for sales-ready prospects. And so what they're doing is they're basically putting out a digital catalog and going, here's my goodies, here are the features of that, please buy from me. And the reality is most buyers don't start there. They know they have a problem they need to solve. They've got a gap they need to fill, a thing they need to find. And so they go looking for information. And to me, the key to being found as a vendor, whether you're a vendor of a product, a vendor of a service, is putting that relevant, helpful information out there in places that those buyers are going to find it. And really, this comes back to our human nature to buy from people who we trust, right? So we're trying to build a trusted relationship. And in the old days, you would do that in person. You go meet your prospects at a trade show, or you'd go, to the marketplace, and you shake hands and you get to know people and you start to do business. Today, we have to try and do that in the digital realm, right? So we're trying to do that online. And so putting out authentic content that people can find engaging, find helpful, begin to build that trust in your business. That attracts prospects to your business. And then your next step is to try to engage them and find out if you have a solution that's right for their needs.
Yeah, I love that. And so how are people, let's talk about, because I find my business, Matt, is a really full referral business. I mean, I get referred business. I get into a company and they start using me for more people, and I get referred, et cetera. But what I find is that people who are referred to me call me and say, I listened to a couple of your podcasts. I watched a couple of your videos. I reviewed a couple of your blogs. I did this. I looked at your website. I mean, they're coming ready to buy. And so talk about kind of 2 people of equal value, right? Of equal substance that can provide, like you said earlier, like, how do more people getting to know who you are? 2 people of equal, just 2 people who are equal in the same profession. One has a ton of content marketing and the other has none. Talk about kind of what you're seeing.
I think the simple answer is if you have none, you will not be found, and you will only be getting business through referrals. I think if you have an ample library, let's call it, of content out there of different types for people to find. We talk about touch points, right? A prospect will encounter you several times before they're actually going to reveal their hand and say, "Hey, you know what, Jon? I think I'd like to work with you. I'd like to engage with your business." And they've gone and looked and they've done their research. They've found similar business coaches to you. They have looked at your content versus their content. So if they're comparing you with lots of content, podcasts, articles, blogs, whatever those might be, to someone with very little, they're going to form an opinion about who you are relative to your competition and which of those options that they want to go with. We talk about mind share. So in the buyer's mind, you're winning a share of that mind by having touch points out there for them to encounter. And if you don't, you're kind of back against the wall, right? They might, if they only find you once, you get one little sliver of their brain, and they find your competitors 25 times. You can guess who they're going to have in their mind when they do decide to move forward and make a purchase of some sort.
Yeah. Let's talk about, thank you for that. Let's talk about, the funnel of in this one instance, getting on the call, right? Because I think you have all this content, and then it's, I find when people are researching me versus somebody else, when they talk to me and then I kind of put them through a 15 or 30 minute kind of like, hey, tell me you're stuck. And then I get them unstuck. That's where the magic really happens, when it really means something, specifically to them. It's a space is created for people to be still, for people to be silent, for people to think about a question that's asked, vulnerability on both sides to kind of get deep, solution found. And then it's like, okay, this is what I need. And so talk about the importance of, you bring them into the funnel, and then the importance of that, whether they're calling into an individual, a call center, right? That very first call you're spending all, because one of the things I see is people spend a lot of money on what we're talking about, and then they're not training or have the right people actually saying hello.
100%.
So yeah. let's just talk about that for a minute.
So there are two words, authenticity and consistency, that I think underpin all effective marketing. Authenticity, of course, meaning if you promise something in that early stage content, you actually it has to be true when the person shows up for that call. Otherwise, the human antenna for inauthenticity, bullshit, as we like to call it, is very sensitive. The other is consistency. So indeed, everything should flow. And in fact, I think content flows from the attraction and engagement phase through that, what we would call selection and implementation phase, where you're actually getting in together and figuring out, hey, have I got a solution for you? Can I help you? And then let's move that into action, turn perceived value into real value. But it carries on beyond that. If you're a product salesperson and someone's bought your product and they're using it and they run into some kind of issue, your customer success team needs to have that content at hand to be able to help that customer so that they become satisfied. In fact, hopefully exceed their expectation, become a repeat buyer. So we're in that middle ground of, yes, we've attracted someone. Content's a two-way filter. It's filtering for you. Are these a prospect for me? Is this someone I want to have as a customer? Can I help them? And it's also helping the prospect figure out, is this someone I should be working with? Then the rubber hits the road. The conversation actually happens. And I think if you've thought it through, if you've figured out what do these prospects really need, how can I help them? By the time they arrive at that call, you're confident that you can help them because they found you for a reason. I guess one or two people will get through that maybe you can't help. And then, of course, the honesty and transparency, the authenticity of saying, you know what, you're not for me. I'm not the coach for you. However, I know someone who is, and passing them along to somebody else. Also a great way to build trust and earn referrals.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Let's talk about how kind of, where you can help in this equation, right? You get content marketing working with working for businesses, and that's what you do with your clients. And so you're working with them, you're designing, you're deploying an effective content marketing strategy, whether they have large or small resources. So talk about a little bit how you kind of come in and, based on what you're saying, make it easy for them.
So I'm going to use some of your own wording here, Jon. It's where are they stuck and how can I get them unstuck?
Yeah,
and I think there are several sticking points with content marketing. The first is the status quo really broken? A lot of companies see that this tremendous shift, to online buying has taken place, but are very much sort of stuck in what they've done in the past. So how do they get started from there? How do they get off the line? You have an established organization with skills and processes that is perhaps missing or lacking the skills and processes to do content marketing effectively. So what do you need to add first to get started? And then I think there's a very unfortunate perception. I think it has a lot to do with some really terrible social media behavior that has people thinking that marketing is quick, cheap, and easy. It's like, just hire me for $50 a month and I'll put 30 leads in your inbox every day, right? So if I'm a leader of an organization, or even a marketing leader, I'm kind of immersed in this perception that marketing is fast and easy. And content marketing, unfortunately, isn't. It takes time to figure out what content to publish. It takes time to generate it and accumulate it and publish it. And it takes time for people to find it, work their way through those touch points that you talked about. So some of what I have to do is coach patience, is explain how content marketing actually works. It's not this quick, an easy thing. And I think the other stuck point, or maybe it's not really a stuck point, it's a behavioral thing. We all tend to want to try a little bit of something before we, kind of really, let's dip our toe in the water. And what this leads to is a little bit of content marketing. So I'm going to do a couple of blog posts and see what happens. I'll do a couple of LinkedIn things and see what happens. I'll record one podcast and see what happens. And I think we can fairly well see, well, probably not much is going to happen, right? Marketing takes more than that. It takes sticking with it, following through. And so we call these random acts of marketing, right? So we get these random acts of marketing, and then people say, well, this doesn't work for me, so I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. So I think getting off the line, not being overwhelmed by this journey that you're starting, realizing it's going to take time, doing things in a methodical way, following some sort of framework, and avoiding the random acts of marketing, and actually doing things intentionally and sticking with them for a while. Those are some of the big areas that I help people to see and then implement.
Yeah, I think that's great. A couple of things on that. It's marketing to some of the points that you talked about, for people not to feel overwhelmed. I think marketing is something that people do feel overwhelmed on, but really it's part of the thread of every business. And when COVID hit, a lot of clients that I was working with, a lot of clients that a lot of people that I was talking to were saying, oh, we're going to cut marketing. My take was always, this is the time to double, triple, quadruple your marketing. And so I'm hoping that people are listening to you, Matt, because I talk about this a lot with clients, and just find the space within their business to do marketing every single day. It really is it's part of the thread of any quality business and business plan. So it's so important. And you're right. It isn't quick. It's not cheap. It's not easy. But it's so critical, especially in today. I think people's attention spans are so low. It needs to be more consistent than ever before. Right. So I loved everything that you had to share. Let's do a quick speed round. You ready?
Oh, sure. Great.
What's a book that's had the biggest impact on you?
Probably Traction by Gino Wickman, Entrepreneurial Operating System. Recommend that to anyone that's trying to figure out how to run a business.
Yeah, it's a good fundamental kind of, I would say, black and white structure. I have a good amount of clients that use EOS to kind of keep themselves very focused.
And I don't think you have to use it entirely, but you can still take nuggets of it, even if you don't
bits and pieces
from top to bottom.
Yeah. Gino's a good guy. I've actually had him on the show before, and
nice.
He's a Detroiter. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Slow down.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I love to rush in. I'm an action-oriented learner.
Yeah.
I'll dive straight in. And boy, I've spent too much time trying to undo things that I've rushed into. So slow down. And there's time for everything.
Yeah, there's time. Yeah, that's a great one. And last question, Matt, finish your sentence. One thing everybody can do to be more consistent and have a long-term plan for content marketing is?
Start with the foundations. Get the anchors right. Understand your purpose, mission, vision, differentiation, all that good stuff. Tie your content marketing back to that. Don't just kind of act on a whim. If you've got solid foundations, you can build a solid business.
I love it. It's great. Matt, I appreciate you taking time to be on the show. Think community. I'm a business coach. I work with successful people who are stuck. I get them unstuck. I love this podcast because I get to have guests like Matt on the show who also can get you unstuck. You shared a ton of great stuff, Matt. I loved everything you talked about from a content marketing standpoint and just good business sense standpoint. But one of the things I want to extract is, which we talked about at the end, is content marketing. And I don't think business in general, there's nothing quick about it. There's nothing cheap about it. There's nothing easy about it. Consistency compounds, and better to do something really, really small with content marketing on a daily basis or 3-4 days a week than try it, like you said, for, a couple months and be done. It's the long game thing, community. We've got to be thinking 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years down the line. Going viral typically and statistically doesn't happen for many of us. Continue to educate so your clients can find you, they can evaluate you, and they can buy from you, because that's what they want to do. So make it easy for them. We've talked about it on the show a lot. Keep things to a kindergarten to second grade level, and it just makes everything easier for everybody. Matt, tell everybody where they can connect with you, learn more about you and your ideal client.
It's cliche, but head to the website, messageup.com. I have a blog on there, messageup.com/framework. There's also a link on there in the main nav to books. I recently published 2 books on content marketing, so go ahead and find those. And connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the best social channel, LinkedIn.in/Matt Bell.
It's great. And think, community, if I can help you with anything, please reach out at jondwoskin.com. Matt, this was great. I enjoyed getting to know you. There's a lot of synergies in what we do, and keep doing great things and keep helping people, think of, produce, and get more content marketing out there. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, John.